Hi, I'm Dr. Laurence Tam. In today's session, we're going to be talking a lot about how to increase your immune system. Well, one of the things is that that's happening right now in Australia is that we're moving in from summer to autumn to winter. But in Australia, typically we only have about 2 seasons rather than where in North America, where I come from, they have 4 seasons as gradual changes. But what happens is that we have a drastic weather of hot weather, was really nice a couple of weeks ago, and then drastically changed rapidly to pretty cold weather, what we call winter. So what happens is that the body has a tendency of changing cells. You ever seen anybody who has dogs or actually have owned a dog would notice that during the season changes, your dog actually sheds their hair or rebuilds their hair to prepare for the season that's upcoming. Well, we as humans also do the same thing as well. We actually shed our cells or our fur as well to prepare for the season, to adapt differently, because as the weather changes, our body has to adapt. Well, let's look at our lungs then, because as we breathe the air that we're going to be accustomed to, the air that's in the summer versus the air in the winter is quite different. It's quite cold in the winter, a lot drier, and it's going to be a different type of temperature. So which means your cells can't be functioning at the same type of rate or function as it does when it was dealing in the summertime. So what happens is that in our body during the transitional period is that we actually go through a transitional change, which means that we shed the cells, which causes those cells to die, and our body makes up new ones to replace it, so that we actually have new cells to adapt for winter. And that usually goes at the same time as well. When winter goes to summer, or during the springtime, we adapt back to summer months. So that's exactly what happens in our body, and that's exactly what happens in all the animals. But most people don't realize that, so therefore we think that, oh, the winter's coming, so we have colds and flus. Well, the natural process is that the body starts to shed, so therefore you're getting rid of a lot of junk. Now, some people can get rid of their stuff and that dead cells during the transitional period, no problem, and had not experienced anything. Whereas some people, due to lowered immune systems or not eating well and not exercising well and doing the right things for wellness, can create more problems. And during this transition, it's really tough for the body to adapt too much, and therefore sheds a lot of the old bacteria or viruses that might be sitting in their lungs that they never knew before. And as they start to shed it, they actually manifest the symptoms for it. So let's look at how the body manifests flus and colds and viruses in the first place. You see, colds and flus that we get is often caused by a virus. And the virus that we usually get is because of this particular, like a virus invading your body. And it's an invader that comes into your body. And most happens is that the body goes through a protection or defense system. The nerve system that's from your brain, your spinal cord, and your nerves, as a chiropractor, we look at, what we do is that the nerve system functions and says, well, there's an intruder that's in our body. What we need to do is we need to get rid of it. So what happens is the first thing that it does, the first symptoms that we have, is that we actually develop a fever. A fever is the first line of defense. The fever is that your body's way of raising the temperature at a high level to actually maintain that virus and bacteria so that it's contained, so it doesn't go very far, so that it can actually start to send its white blood cell to attack it and kill it. And the second thing it does is that once you kill it and you destroy it, you have these, if you ever watched like movies like The Last Samurai or The Gladiator, where they have big battle scenes, the good guys and the bad guys, and they come together and they just clash and they destroy each other, and you pan away after about 10 minutes of fighting, you got a whole bunch of dead bodies on the floor. On the battlefield. Well, that's exactly what happens. When white blood cells starts to attack the body, it starts to actually create dead cells, and these dead cells actually end up having laying in the lungs, for example, and you got to clean that mess up. So what happens is that you actually develop what we call mucus, and mucus is like a sticky substance, and that goes in there and cleans all that up and actually collects all that junk up. And then once you have that in your lungs, you can't just let it sit there. You actually have to get it out, and this is including all those dead cells and viruses. So what happens is you develop what we call a coughing mechanism. You inhale some air into the lungs deep inside, your diaphragm pulls down, and then you use the diaphragm to pull down to actually push and exhale all the air out to move that mucus out of the body, up in the trachea, and you put something called a white Kleenex, and then you basically put it in the Kleenex and you put it in your pocket, right? That's the manifestation of a flu. And these are the symptoms. You develop fever, you develop mucus, and you develop a cough, and you're very tired, because the reason why you're tired is because you spent so much energy just to develop these mechanisms like a fever. So what happens is that this is a natural body process. And when the natural body process is that your body goes through this natural process so that we can actually get rid of stuff out of the body, and it's trying to save your life. But oftentimes what we do is we try to decrease the symptoms by using drugs, and trying to lower the fever, get rid of the mucus, and get rid of the cough. And I understand why we want to do that, because we want to decrease the symptoms. But what you need to understand though, before you go and do each one of those things, is that you need to think, what is my body trying to do? Is it trying to save my life, or is it actually doing something harmful? The body's not designed to be stupid. The body is designed to be very smart, and designed to be smart to actually save your life. Well, let's go back to exactly what we're here to talk about. What is the remedy for flus? Well, once you have the flu, your body has to go through that process. The thing is that the only reason why any of us get flus is because it's not just because we're exposed to the virus. If they're exposed to the virus, then everybody would be having flus every time they meet someone. But that's not necessarily the case. Certain people get the flu and certain people don't. And the reason why that is because the germ theory says that that's the case, where one person passes on to another. But there is one factor that the germ theory doesn't talk about, which is the immune system. The immune system is very vitally important, because the immune system is like your defense mechanism against your body. If you have a strong immune system, when I mean strong, that means that the body is able to adapt and fight off any virus or bacteria before they actually manifest into symptoms, then you actually have a healthy immune system. But if you have a weak immune system, there's plenty of reasons why you have lowered immune system. We can talk a lot about that, but that's another session. But when you have a lower immune system, the body doesn't fight or can even find the virus and bacteria in the first place, and therefore you manifest the symptoms, and then therefore your body is run down. And usually one main reason why the immune system is run down is usually due to stress. There's 3 types of stress. There's physical, chemical, and emotional stress. So these types of things create our bodies into a shutdown mode, and therefore our body gets vulnerable. And when there's a vulnerability, right, it's like leaving your front door open, someone's going to come in and steal something. So that's what the virus and bacteria does. So how can we, during the process of having a flu, what can we do to help increase the immune system? Because that's the only way to help you adapt and not really get rid of the flu, but more adapt and remove the virus and kill the virus faster in your own body. Well, one of the ways is not necessarily taking drugs, but what can you do to improve your own system so that your body can fight off naturally, so that you don't actually, because once you learn how to attack a particular virus or strain of virus, your body knows exactly what to do. Once you figure it out once, you will never get attacked by the same flu virus again. Okay, so that's why flu vaccines are not necessarily helpful at all, because flu vaccines only have a specific strain, and basically if it's not the right strain, and assuming that the vaccine works, it's not going to help you or protect you in any way, and you're also injecting yourself with the flu.